Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband his job as a stay-at-home dad is only easy because I help out? Original post. I am writing this from the guest bedroom because my husband and I had a fight. So the thing is, my husband is a stay-at-home dad. 3 years ago, he wanted to quit his job and take care of the house and children, 6 female and 2 male. And I supported it because I work a decent job and earn most of the money. My husband takes pride in being a stay-at-home dad. He always brags about how it is the easiest job in this world and women are just complaining for no reason. But the truth is, I help him with the chores as much as I can. In the morning, I wake up and fix the breakfast for them, and my husband gets our daughter ready for school. I also do meal preps for lunch, and all he has to do is assemble them and cook it. I pack my and my daughter's lunch. When I am at work, he does the cleaning and spends time with our son, or does his thing. Later, when I come home, I cook the dinner and give my son a bath, help my daughter with her schoolwork, or I play with them for some time until bedtime. Besides that, whenever we do laundry, I fold the clothes that he washes and put them away. And during deep cleaning of our house, we split the task 50-50. I also handle all doctor's appointments. The system works really well, but I hate that it thinks my contribution is not enough. That he does all the chores and I do not even lift a finger. Moreover, he has a blog and TikTok where he films his days. He also makes posts about how easy it is to be a stay-at-home dad, and women just complain and full of it, that it is the easiest job in this world. I am glad he likes it, but I hate that he thinks he is superior to everyone and invalidating their experience. I grew up in a house where my dad didn't even lift a finger, and my mom did literally everything around the house. He was the fun dad doing bare minimum, so I did not want that to happen to my husband. Also, it is my house too. I believe if both people do chores, the stress becomes less. Also, I know many of my friends who struggle with doing chores as a stay-at-home mom. I also know women who work and still do majority of the chores. And his comments makes me irritated. So yesterday, my friend Ashley came to visit. She's a mother of 2. Her son probably has ADHD and very much active. She has trouble handling her son and gets no help from her husband. Her son breaks a cup in our house. Ashley was saying sorry. My husband cleaned it up and she was complaining how exhausted she is. My husband scoffed and told her, "You must be doing the parent thing wrong because I am a stay-at-home parent too, but I never had problem. My wife barely does anything around the house and it is so easy. Maybe I should give you a lesson or two." I can see Ashley was upset and I understand why. Later that day, I told him what he said to Ashley was very rude, and my husband acted as if he said nothing wrong and was honest. I pointed that he doesn't do all the chores. I help him with at least 40%. That's why he thinks it's easy. He again argued that those chores are not significant compared to what he does. I told him he is being mean to everyone, that we got lucky that our kids are easy and not active. Most of the kids are hard to handle. He again scoffed and said, "How hard can it be?" We argued about this, and he told me I am being ungrateful because no man would ever sacrifice like he did. Now I am upset and gave him some space. Was I wrong to point it out? Edit. Just want to point out, I have no issues with him being a stay-at-home dad. I just don't like his attitude towards it, and the way he thinks it is the easiest job in this world. Because to me and most of the people, it is still a job that has no vacation days. Now for the top comments before reading the update. Welcome to reality. It rarely matters how much the person who works outside the home does at home. It's never enough. Husbands complain that they work 50 hours a week, do all the hard work, all the home maintenance, all the auto maintenance, and help out a little in the house. And they get eviscerated if they don't pitch in 50-50 on housework and give the stay-at-home parent time off at night and on the weekends. We ran the actual numbers with my partner who was stay-at-home. Turned out, I was putting in 30 more hours per week of work outside and inside a home. Try documenting both of your workloads fairly and see what the work equity comes out to be. It may not work out with cleaning or cooking. Look at everything. If your husband is in a deficit, let him know. My husband gets rest after I come home. I know he works all day and deserves a break. It gets exhausting if you're pulling all the emotional chores. I do not want to be one of those people who complain about not wanting to do housework because they're too tired. Also, spending time with my kids is not a chore. It is more of a bonding experience. My concern is his sacrificing. What exactly does that mean? Weren't they choices? So he has sacrificed what? There seems to be some underlying issues for him around his role and the need to feel superior in this role. I'm one for therapy because it could be helpful for him and you in fleshing out the issues with going against cultural gender roles. Shame is a sinister emotion that sometimes masks itself. It was 100% his choice to quit his job and be a stay-at-home dad. In fact, he gets way more praises as a house husband than I did as a housewife. And being a stay-at-home dad has improved his mood. His job was very soul-sucking, so I supported his decision. Not the a-hole. He sounds exhausting and unaware of how self-centered he is. Parenting isn't a competition between him and you. It's a team sport where you both have to participate. Sounds like you are doing more in context, in the home and outside home. Loves seeing a stay-at-home dad, but he needs a swift kick in the butt for being full of himself, not valuing your contributions and his misogynistic comments. Stop doing what you're doing and let him truly be a stay-at-home dad, not the a-hole. Yep, see how long he lasts when you stop doing all the stuff is deemed insignificant. If it truly is, then he can't complain about a tiny little increase in workload and you get that time/labor back for you. Yeah, from what Opie described, it just sounds like he's unemployed and not a stay-at-home dad. Now for the update. Okay, I took everyone's advice and stopped working my part of the chores. I did tell him beforehand, since he thinks my contribution to the housework is nothing, that I will stop doing everything altogether. I told him since he thinks being a stay-at-home dad is easy, then he should have a full experience of it. My friend's husband doesn't even lift a finger around the house. So I wouldn't too. He was obviously upset. He wanted to argue I cannot do this to him. He even tried to pull the incompetence card. I told him I am not going to do my portion of the job at home. I also gave the typical excuse of, I work all day at my office so that we can survive in one income. It is selfish for him to expect me to do housework. And that's what I did. I didn't do any housework. I didn't wake up in the morning and made breakfast. My husband had to do it. It wasn't hard for him, but I can see he was moody. I asked him to prepare my lunch because that is also my job. He refused at first, but then I told him he said he will do all the household chores too. That includes my lunch as well. He only packed me a peanut butter jelly sandwich. I didn't do meal prep for lunch either. It was his to figure out. At night when I came home, I didn't make dinner and asked him to do it. He was shocked, but did it anyways. I didn't give my son a bath. He is fuzzy, which ticked my husband off. I only helped my daughter with her homework and I didn't help him with the laundry. The first few days didn't say a word, but after a week, it was showing that he is getting exhausted. He was getting more and more angry at small stuff, and usually cleaning would cool him off. But whenever he sees a mess, he throws a tantrum. In the weekends, I went to my mother's house to relax. That weekend, we were supposed to clean our bathrooms, but he did that all by himself. As the days progressed, I can see him being really angry at me. Even I admit, it has affected our intimacy a lot. At last, after 2 weeks, he told me, basically yelled, that I proved my point. Things are back to normal, but I can see he is very distant with me. Last night I asked him to talk to me. He said he knew what game I was playing, but he did not appreciate me treating him like garbage and not considering his feelings. I told him it was his words that being a stay-at-home dad is easy. I just gave him the full experience of it. He kept saying that I should have been more supportive. All these weeks, he felt like a nobody and so underappreciated. He felt invisible. He started to hate me for not caring and dumping everything on him. He is still not talking to me, and we have booked a couples therapy session next week. Let's see if our relationship sustains or not. I think it goes without saying, but not the a-hole. Not gonna lie, he sounds pretty toxic. Even when he has his come to Jesus moment, he's not actually recognizing that what he's feeling is exactly the thing he was demeaning others for. He thought it was easy, learned it's not, and instead of recognizing it, he pushes everything off on you. I really hope your counseling works, Opie, because he really needs it. Yeah, he's lashing out at her because he doesn't want to face how shameful his own behavior was. Everything was hunky-dory when he was discounting the work that Opie was doing and the amount most stay-at-home parents do. Let's not forget he has consistently shown he is more than happy to discount the work the women around him do. First it was the stay-at-home friends, and then Opie's efforts at home. You're telling me that a stay-at-home parent that does everything around a house while the other parent does nothing but work feels exhausted and unappreciated? What? How could he have possibly known that? Except for the barrage of women who told him they felt this way for years. But that doesn't count. After all, being a stay-at-home parent is easy, right? They were just being dramatic. Aw, he feels unappreciated and invisible? That's how women feel every day. He messed around and found out, and I was pissing like a child. Not the a-hole, but why are you with a loser? He literally can't do anything on his own, and you hurt his man ego. Like, what does he bring to the table? And don't give me the BS of love. He is a great parent, etc. He is a crappy partner who has a fragile ego and doesn't contribute 50% of the household. Literally evaluate life, because you literally have the short end of the stick with this relationship. I won't call him a loser. If you are a stay-at-home mom and have your husband help you out, would you still call yourself a loser? I agree he acted poorly, but I know my husband. I'm sure there is some deep-seated problem I don't know about. Info. Is alimony a thing where you're from? We live in a no-fault state. That has nothing to do with whether or not alimony gets awarded. You'd best check that out. We don't have a prenup. He has been out of work for 3 years. Maybe I do have to pay him alimony, but I'm not sure. Is there any option where even if he gets alimony, he has to find a job within a certain amount of time, otherwise his spousal support will be revoked? As he is the stay-at-home parent, he will likely get primary custody, as it is seen as better for the kids consistency-wise. Next story. Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I'd be telling the court about a sleepy driving incident if he files for divorce? My 44 female husband, 47 male, has basically declared war on me. We have 3 kids, 10 male, 7 female, and 3 female. Our son is a talented tennis player. My husband and I are both college athletes, and he almost went professional for baseball. And I used to mentor girls who ended up becoming NFL cheerleaders. My parents never had the money or dedication to support me pursuing what I loved. I made the best of it, but wanted it to be different for my son. So he gets intensive pre-professional training. Because of that, and the fact that we were building our own dream house, my husband worked a night shift job, a first shift job, and also worked as 4 to 6 hour shifts as event staff during weekends. Meanwhile, I had a receptionist job that was 32 hours a week. My son's tennis sucks up the entire income from my husband's night shift job plus my income. The rest of the money was needed to build and maintain our dream house. I thought the contractors had bad insights, so we acted as our own general contractor. We had a construction loan, but on top of that, we had to pour our money into it because things went wrong. Friends told us our only way out was to build something unique enough we could just sell it for high and make some money from it. At that point, we started arguing. Apparently, HelloFresh, which advertises affordability, isn't affordable. Argued about leasing a Jeep versus Toyota. Then came the instance where my husband was driving home from his day shift. He was feeling tired, yet he decided to start the car. He drove for a while, apparently knew he was tired, and then pulled into the runabout area of an apartment complex. He dozed off before putting the car in park and ended up hitting the apartment's garage door. He was fined by the apartment, plus a citation for reckless driving, and the fight started after he walked in the door. I said that they've charged people with felonies for that. He could have lost his career. He starts screaming he has woken up and thinks he worked so hard all for me. He called me a narcissist and said he thinks I get him to do all this because I feel inferior, and to have somebody do all this gives me an extra kick. He then said we needed a trial period apart. We got into an argument yesterday after he said he's thinking of quitting his night shift job and filing for divorce. He insulted our house, saying it looked like 5 people from different eras built parts of it and smashed it together. I replied by saying he's not going to get custody when I tell the judge about him being a reckless driver, and maybe he'd even be denied visitation. He screamed and said even child abusers get visitation, and I replied that a court official wouldn't have to be in a car with them. My husband got calm and said that was the last straw. From now on, I'm no longer important to him. Am I the a-hole for saying things in anger when he's been blaming me? He's the one who decided to get in the car and possibly run over everybody. Why would you hurt your kids like that by denying them access to their father? Why would you even threaten that? You threatened to weaponize the court and his children against him. You're the a-hole. That's terrifying. He fell asleep in his car. A serious medical issue should be ruled out. No one can work 60+ hours consistently over an extended period of time without incident like this, and managing or coordinating the construction would absolutely count as work. And for what exactly is he overextending himself for? A wife who threatens to weaponize their children? A house? And a pipe dream you'll have an Olympian in the family? The chances of your kid becoming or wanting to become an Olympian or sports star are slim. I had a colleague whose daughter was sent to a special gymnastics school. They stretched themselves financially to put her in that school with coaches who had trained other prospective Olympians. Their daughter turned 16 and didn't want to do it anymore. She wanted to be just a regular kid. Don't overextend yourself financially to promote a pipe dream, unless you can swallow that whole loss with a smile when it likely comes. Sure sounds like your husband has overextended himself, and you all need to think about what's really important in your lives. A kid that I was supposed to graduate with in high school was a really good wrestler, but he couldn't beat this one guy in his weight class. Kid's dad held him back a year so his son could dominate at wrestling. When a kid was a junior, he quit wrestling. Any athlete is one injury away from not having a career. Delusional to destroy the entire family based on this pipe dream. You're the a-hole, and you're the one that declared war. Your husband is exhausted trying to support your ridiculous dreams. Your son is probably not going to be a wealthy pro tennis player. He's probably going to resent the pressure you're putting on him. This dream house is ridiculously impractical, and with your firing your general contractor, your husband's assessment of the house is probably accurate. You're trying to live completely outside your means, and your husband has been killing himself to try and support this. And your response is to use it as a weapon against him. Again, Major, you're the a-hole. I want to say outside of reality. She's a receptionist and wants to live like she's earning a six-figure income and expects the man to make up for her own desires. Also, she's pushing that onto her kids by trying to make one into a pro when they're 10. All it'll do is cause resentment and a hate of the sport. Please note her blaming her parents for not trying hard enough to help her go pro to help my point. After she points out the money, she feels it's okay to use her husband as a workhorse.